Are you feeling like time's running out to save the relationship? We feel an urgency to fix things, only to find our partner pulling further away. Like, I don't want to go to couples counseling, or I'm not interested in talking about it right now. So I've been in this place myself. My marriage collapsed. I found a program. I became a coach. I actually loved helping. Now I'm writing a book and running this YouTube to share the lessons. Oh, and I did save my family. Stay with me to understand how this need that we have for answers and certainty, it rapidly kills the relationship. Also, how to reinterpret this deceptive trap. And by the end of this video, I'm going to introduce a really powerful communication skill to you that you can use today, day one, to stop that slowly bleeding out of the relationship and plant some seeds of trust, even when she hasn't been wanting to talk. And if you want more free tools on how to navigate these tough relationship challenges, there's a link in the description with a free guide to help you start taking the right steps on your journey today. Okay. Now, before we dive into the antidote for this panic, this urgency, let's uncover why it actually feels so compelling, why it gets so many of us, and why it proves disastrous. So the status quo effect, it's this feeling that she has. So like, here's her, she's left the village, she's headed off into the wilderness. She's now standing overlooking the next valley. She's on her way. She's out of here. She's moving towards independence. She's thinking he'll never change. So an example of this, this literally comes up for everybody, but I'll just give one guy as an example who'd been consistently working on himself for months after he's made the choice to do something to save the relationship. And his wife moved into a spare room. She says, I no longer loved him. And despite him making a lot of changes, trying to be a more present father, listening more intently, showing some signs that he wanted to grow and change, she was still sending mixed signals. And occasionally just showing a little warmth or suggesting shared family activities, she would quickly revert to her original coldness. So the core of her resistance, what was actually going on, as I said to him, was it's likely those internal thoughts were, no, people don't really change. And I'd be an idiot to just give him another chance now, to change my mind now, to come back, to talk about coming back now. If I give him an inch, he'll take a mile. And so we often think, and this is where the greed comes in as well, right? It's like, we don't want things to change. We liked the marriage. We liked having someone in the bed next to us. We thought things were okay. Maybe they could use a bit of work, sure. But essentially, it's written all over our faces that we don't want things to change. We liked it here in the village. We liked that security and that feeling of comfort. We thought things were all figured out. We thought we were safe. So this demonstrated her deep-seated belief that people don't fundamentally change. And he's just acting in this way to try and convince me to come back. And it kept her from fully acknowledging or trusting the visible efforts that he was making. And so the way I like to prove that you can change is to leave the village yourself, to head out on the journey. So the journey is what really needs your motivation, okay? But on the journey, you're going to have a lot of fears. You're going to face so much uncertainty, okay? You're not going to know whether she's coming back. You're not going to know what to tell your family. You're not going to know what the kids are going to think. You're not going to know, okay? You're going to have a lot of doubts. Am I going to be able to do this? I've never tried to fix a marriage before. I'm not a relationship expert. I thought that I just picked the right person and that was the job's done, okay? Pick the right person, pay the bills, give her a hug, and we're okay. But there's a lot of doubt now because that clearly wasn't enough. And it's not that it's not enough. It's that we didn't know the few things that we weren't doing, okay? And there's a lot of resistance because, like I said, once she said this, he'll never change. It's a long journey to convince anyone that you could change. It's a lot of convincing, especially when you've been saying things that make her think you don't want to change. It's going to take a while to shift that. So a lot of unknowns, and a lot of discomforts as well. So clearly there's things you're going to have to learn. There's tough truths you're going to have to face. There's conversations you're going to have that are not going to be the fun and easy conversations. And so like that resistance, that discomfort, those unknowns, there's so much of that. But you have to choose. You have to decide, am I going to answer the call? Am I going to answer the call to go on that journey? So that's the status quo effect. And to give an example of the status quo effect as well, your parents have probably had the status quo effect for you in your lifetime. They've looked at you and said, I don't know if you'd be good as a teacher. Because they've built a picture of you in their mind over the years that they raised you. They've already got a picture of who you are and what you should do and what you should be. And it might not match what you want. And it's going to take a lot of slow convincing and a lot of you walking that journey for them to finally say, okay, he might know where he's going. He might know what he wants. Maybe I was wrong. They're going to be right every time until the one time when they finally realize, oh, maybe I wasn't. And that's okay. It takes a lot of time for people to catch up from status quo effect. So now we know that these urgent, greedy actions backfire because of this status quo effect. Let's talk about how shifting our mindsets can really pave the way for that change to occur. So how do you shift to a mindset that actually builds rather than destroys? Okay. So the powerful counter to greed is kindness. What I'm saying here is really you're embodying this. I'm going to go on a journey. I don't need to see results immediately. I'm going to keep walking no matter what. That's really kind on your partner because it empowers them because they're already moving in that direction. They're already moving towards a journey. They want independence now. So you're saying, I'm going to move too. I realize that you're not walking with me. I've decided to start walking. You can see my journey if you like in the rearview mirror. If you're interested, eat popcorn. If you're not, that's okay too. You keep walking. That's fine. So it's a lot kinder than begging them to stay. It respects their wishes right now a lot more than begging them to come back. So instead of desperately hunting for those immediate outcomes to just get things back where you want them, you become a farmer. You patiently plant seeds that your partner can feel safe, that she can share, that she can talk, that you'll listen, that you'll understand. That true growth takes time, that it takes consistent effort. This means channeling all that intense urgency that you feel away from the destination, just getting things back. And you channel it towards the steps, just the steps, the next step in front of you, the next little step of the journey. That's what you can control right now, today. Back to just doing what you can do, back to learning some stuff, back to doing the little things that add up. So you just keep channeling your focus back to that, back to the journey. Oh, I'm going to give an example. A client, he shared instances where he had this kind of feeling like he really wanted things back the way they were. And so they would surface, particularly when his wife seemed to be moving on or pursuing new interests. He admitted that he was feeling paranoid about the sort of guys that are like single dads and things at his son's sports events, like son's training. And he confessed that he had an urge to suggest to his partner, come to the gym with me. He wanted to try and bring her back into his circle immediately when there's not a lot of desire on her part to do that. She'd spoken about wanting to build muscle and things like that. So he had some little safety there, but he was just like trying to use those as opportunities to pull her in. And so these impulses, he realized, these impulses were driven by that real urgency towards getting her back soon before someone else turns her head. His previous mindset, like the way that he was thinking before, would often lead him to do this kind of thing, like hunting for outcomes. He wanted to try and fix things. However, by embracing this journey mindset, he consciously began to resist these urges, choosing instead to listen intently when she was actually around. And she would talk about things like wanting to get ripped, wanting to get built. And he would just be like talking to her and listening to her and making her feel understood. It's like, hell yeah, because you're thinking that you want to try and get in the gym. It's such a cool thing that a person could do. You want to have that feeling of accomplishment, right? And actually making her feel deeply understood. So listening intently and showing that understanding rather than offering solutions and trying to pull her in again or pursuing closeness. This deliberate choice to not act on those impulses allowed him to plant seeds of his changes and his respect for her independence, that she was heading that direction, demonstrating that kindness, even when it felt like he was just sitting on his hands. He realized that's not what he was doing. He wasn't sitting on his hands. He was actually doing something far better. So this shift sounds pretty simple, but how do you consistently maintain this kind approach when every fiber of your being is screaming at you to rush, to fix it straight away, to fuck the journey, get her back tomorrow, today, say something that makes her realize what's at stake? Well, what is a tool that's much, much better than doing those kinds of things? Something that we can do in the meantime. The first thing you ought to be doing is really using the bandage skill to build some immediate safety back after we've probably trashed it a little bit by hunting. So to stay rooted in kindness in the journey, you need practical tools. The bandage is your foundational skill. It's designed to stop causing more harm in conversations and buy you some time to make real changes. It's about acknowledging what was just said or where things are in the present moment. It's about listening a lot more, and it helps negate the expected resistance. And you own your past, you outline your new intentions, and you're going to invite her to speak more. It's going to create a lot of safety by showing that you actually respect her space and intentions. You're going to prevent her confirmation bias from spiraling out of control. So I'll give an example of a bandage, right? So statement of action is the first step here. And it might be something as simple as, so she's been talking about wanting to get ripped. And instead of saying, come to the gym with me, you might say, yeah, it's awesome that you've been thinking about working out. I obviously working out a lot myself. I'd love to hear you talk about what you're up to and what you're doing. I'd be more than happy to just listen. Well, I'm not trying to manufacture some come to the gym with me or anything like that. I think in the past, I would have probably, and it's like, that's a negation, basically saying what I'm not trying to do here. And then the old self would just say like, in the past, I probably would have tried to use you mentioning anything as an opportunity, like, let's do that together. Look, I realize that you're heading in a little bit of a different direction at the moment. You want your space. But I would have been really needy for trying to fix things. And I think I was just because I wasn't seeing how you must have been feeling the last few years. I didn't really appreciate it. And I think that like the reason why I want to just be here to listen rather than jumping on you for stuff, this is the new self part, is because I want to actually be someone that you can talk to about stuff, because you're going to see me because of the kids anyway. We're going to be co-parenting. So I want to let you talk about anything with keeping it light. And I realize that if I were you, I would be pretty glad that I could talk again about a lot of the cool stuff that I'm interested in. Does that sound? And simple as that, you just check with her. Does she want to talk more? Something where she can feel like, hey, he would have done this in the past, but now he's saying he's just going to listen to me and be here. And he's not doing it because he's trying to pull a swift one on me or anything. He realizes what he did before. Now he doesn't want to do that. He wants to offer something nice instead. And he's doing that because he's trying to just genuinely be a better dude for the future, not because he wants to get anything. And he's actually asking if I want to, and I still don't have to if I don't feel like it. So it's so balanced. And if she's actually full of that feeling of like status quo effect, this is why it's so freaking powerful. And it really is. Like, it really does put a bandage over that bleeding. And then it's not like this bandage will get her back. This bandage basically stops her from heading for the hills as fast as she possibly can, because she's no longer thinking that you're chasing her, which you shouldn't be. You should be on your own journey. And if your paths happen to coincide again, well, great. But you're not going to be chasing. You're not going to be hunting. So these actions, like I said, it seems really simple, right? But they might seem very small, but they lay the groundwork for really massive transformation. So let's recap how these insights bring about real lasting change. We learned that greed for, you know, I don't want things to change. We learned how that only pushes our partner away due to that status quo effect. We learned that the antidote to all of that is that kindness, the respecting where she's headed, and embracing our own journey mindset. It really frees her up. Okay. And we focus on our steps over getting to the destination. Refocus on the journey all the time. And your most powerful tool for actually talking to your partner in this early stage, when you're getting out of that anxious state, is the bandage skill. And you can really drop this one every time that you think, this is a time when I would normally hunt. Instead, I'm going to drop a bandage because she's probably expecting me to do, come hang out with me. Oh, come to bed with me. She's probably expecting that. But instead, I'm going to say, I'm not going to do that thing you're expecting. I'd like to just listen to you instead. Or I'm going to give you some space instead, but I'm here if you want me. That's very powerful to erode away that confirmation bias, that status quo effect. And she'll start thinking maybe he can change. And either way, you're going to be there helping instead of hindering. So this isn't about quick fixes. It's about fundamentally changing how we show up. Okay. So you move from really desperately hunting to patiently just farming. You create an environment where things like love can naturally start to regrow. And if you found value here, I want you to subscribe for more weekly insights on saving your relationship. And remember, if it's important, if the destination is important, if getting her back is important, if you don't want things to change, then that's even more reason to focus 100% on the journey, the steps. Okay? Because that's the only thing that's actually important. So choose the short-term hard of consistent self-improvement for the long-term easy of a truly thriving relationship. And just keep walking. All right?